Salutations everyone, let's talk about the Division beta. So, it lasted for a few days, there wasn't a ton of content, it kind of just gave you the basic rundown of the game. It wasn't changed content-wise from the alpha, from what I've heard from talking to people who did play the alpha, but they did say that there were improvements to the movement, to the UI, so that is a very, very nice. You know, this wasn't a bullshit beta. There's time from this beta for them to collect a lot of feedback and then change the game accordingly if they feel like they need to, based off of the feedback that they have gotten and will continue to get. There has been rumors that there will be another beta and that it will be open, but this is what we have so far. So the Division, it's a third-person open world shooter. It has story mode missions. There was one available mission in the beta. We're in Madison Square Garden, killing some dudes, freeing some medical staff for your base of operations. The story, I mean, you can kind of get it out of the trailer if that's how you want to get it. I'm not going to try to spoil anything for anybody, but I don't know, if the game needs there to be a strong story or not. We've seen other open world shooters, such as Destiny, which a lot of people will continue to compare this game to for many reasons, both good and bad, about the open worldness and the fact that this is a shooter. It's third person, the controls are completely different, and it is definitely handled differently, but still has RPG MMO light aspects to it. They aren't too hardcore, but you have customization with your weapons. You have all these attachments that you can apply to them. You pick things up. They have certain rarities and certain properties. You also level up, the 3 different skill trees that you have. There are also perks that were locked in the beta, unfortunately, but there's going to be a lot of different customization to do with your character. As far as powers, there was a pulse scan available thing to us. There was also a little mine that we could shoot and then detonate. There was also ballistic shield, which would be very good because there are many instances where you can die fairly quickly in this game. The one mission mode that we were able to play, fairly short. If you change the difficulty, there are more enemies to fight. In case you were wondering, this game does have a normal mode. It has a harder mode. It has matchmaking for the missions. Unfortunately, there's no matchmaking in the Dark Zone, which is the open world multiplayer experience, which I'll get to in a little bit. But the basics of the game were pretty straightforward. It felt very Ghost Recon-y in its controls as a third-person shooter. Tom Clancy game, of course, as well. It has some similarities to Destiny, not just that it's an open world, but the fact that you pick up items, they have certain rarities, you can dismantle them to get parts and then craft other objects. Crafting was not available in the beta, but we got to see some of the things that we would get, and then you get blueprints by doing missions or finding them or what have you. There's a lot of different things to do within the open world of New York City, which is perfectly scaled from what I've heard. The map is really cool. It's done in real time, rendered, layered on top of yourself. Very seamless transactions. There's no loading screens whatsoever. The closest thing to a loading screen is when you go in and out of your base. Your character is forced to walk instead of run, so that might be, loading, some parameters and some things to sequence. But for the most part, there wasn't a whole lot of sequencing in this game. It was very things weren't scripted. You didn't have a lot of scripted things happening. Things were just out open in the world. You saw some dudes, you're just walking by the street, and some guys are, pickpocketing some dude they just killed, and you just blow them away. Or they're, camping out at a gas station. So you take the guys up top, and then you take down the guys below, and they drop things, and you have ammo. There's also little things to find in the world, little chests here, little missions in here. There's a disease going on. That's the main kicking off point of the game. There's this disease, and you have to have a gas mask or some sort of mask in certain areas that are infected. And there were some little missions to scan, which they didn't really explain very much, but you have to go from one scan point to another scan point and then upload that info via a satellite within a certain amount of time. There wasn't anybody to kill. Usually, and sometimes there were, but they were just there. They weren't guarding anything. They just happened to be in your way. There's a lot of instances just happening, like there's a hostage situation in this, pharmaceutical drug, store. So, and you're trying to help out the local forces. You are part of the division. You're the elite awesome sauce people, and kind of taking control of any encounter that you face yourself. Obviously, since you are the player, this is very player driven, and these people aren't going to be saved by themselves or by the local people, because they aren't equipped or as trained as you are. And with that, you build up your base. There are 3 different wings to your base. You have the medical base, which was the only one you could have upgraded within the beta. And doing that unlocks new abilities for you. And, you can kind of figure out, what you would be able to do in this type of game. With similarities to Destiny, you had vendors and stuff like that. This game is the biggest comparison I can find it to Destiny, which is a polarizing thing, very popular, always top 10 on Twitch, but very disappointing with people, with the content, lack of story, what have you. A lot of content, is at the pay gate, which is very unfortunate. And it might be the same with The Division. A lot of events are pay gated, as well as additional content and stuff, but, basic season pass things that we have seen recently within, gaming in the past few years. But I think what will translate the most significant thing between comparing Destiny and The Division, since they are, the only 2 beasts of their kind in the console world, with, big developers behind them and having a big open world shooter with light RPG MMO elements, is that it is definitely designed to be played with other people. With Destiny, you couldn't get a lot out of the game. You can only have so much fun and do so many things without needing to play with other people. And there's some things that you can't do unless you have actual friends playing the game as well, to do things like raids in Destiny, as an example. There was no matchmaking within the Dark Zone, which was the multiplayer area, which is, I think, going to be a big focus of this game. How the multiplayer area works, it's a Dark Zone, it's a place that you specifically have to consciously enter yourself. You can pair up with other random people that you meet. You can have your team open, you could set it to private, you could set it to friends only, or you can walk in with friends. But you can join up with other people, whether they be in a group or just other solo players themselves, which, if you're with your friends and you're communicating with headsets and, you're running things optimally, it's going to be difficult to run up against those other kind of people. But within the multiplayer world, it's the Dark Zone. There are a bunch of AI enemies to kill, at certain levels, doing certain things. They might be equipped differently. We don't know. A lot was held back in the beta. It is a beta after all, but if you watch any of Ubisoft's actual stream, the developers and people talking about the game, they rest assured us that they were holding back a lot, that we have not seen, even the tip of the iceberg of what this game has to offer, which I definitely hope is true, because content-wise, there was just 1 story mission and just a few side missions, which did vary in, what you had to do within these side missions. Some were violent, some were non-violent, some you did in the streets, some you did in buildings. Some had some backstory to them. You had to find this missing person, and you go through these things called echoes, which is kind of like you get to see this point in time being played back through holograms. But in the Dark Zone, it's just multiplayer people, and you're taking out AI people. Maybe you're doing it by yourself, or maybe you and a group, just consciously have a silent agreement to kill the AI people. But the fact is, you can't trust anybody. This is the Dark Zone. Other people can go rogue. What go rogue means is the game allows other players to kill each other in multiplayer. If they're on a different fire team, you can't, kill your own team members, from what I have seen. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. But if you kill another user, you get marked as going rogue. I believe, at least in the beta, for 2 minutes you were marked, so anybody can see you. This player has gone rogue. So they have killed somebody, so go kill them, or, stay away from them, I guess. This is, of course, going to be vary in difficulty based off of, if you're alone, things are just going to be tougher. It's basically like a built-in trolling mechanism, and that it might be. I don't want to say this for certain, but I have worries that it might be impossible to do the Dark Zone multiplayer by yourself, because you'll just get wiped out by fire teams and clans and stuff like that, because it's not something you can survive on your own. I did manage one triple kill against a group of other players, but I caught them by surprise and it took them a while to find me. But nonetheless, once you go rogue, you have 2 minutes where you're marked on the map, and that will decrease as long as you're not engaging another player. If you still start shooting at people, then that counter will not go down. Enemy multiplayer people who, have obviously, you know, we don't know what they have, and they don't know what you have, but you're all trying to kill AIs and other players to get loot. Everybody drops loot, they drop experience, and they drop money, which you use at the Dark Zone vendor, right, which is how you get the best stuff in the game. They say out of the gate, the best stuff in the game, you get it through the Dark Zone. And it was quite obvious in the beta that that was the case as well. I got all of the good things through the Dark Zone, with the exception of maybe a couple of attachments or a piece of gear here and there. You have, you know, your helmet and your pads and, you know, backpack and all these kinds of stuff that change all of your stats, which I really liked how they'd gone through the stats. They show you the RPM, they show you the DPS, they show you the accuracy, they show you the reload speed, they show you the ammo capacity and what every single piece of gear does, and you compare and contrast like all the good, you know, RPG like games do. So to keep your loot, you can't just equip it after you find it in the Dark Zone, because it's quote-unquote contaminated. So what you do is, in certain areas in the Dark Zone, you shoot up a flare, and I have to wait a few minutes for a helicopter to come down. And the helicopter will drop a rope after said number of minutes. As long as you keep that DZ clear and friendly, you then attach your contaminated loot to the helicopter, and once that's attached, you're safe. If you die, you will still lose experience and money, but you will not lose that loot any longer. So that's basically the objective of the Dark Zone, from what we have seen in the beta. There could be other things that they just haven't told us yet, or that we have not experienced so far. So, as you can tell, this might be difficult doing by yourself, which I played by myself, and I also played with other people, just joined up with other randoms. Your mileage will vary on their skill level, their actual game level. You have your multiplayer, you have your game level, and you have the Dark Zone rank. They're completely different. They're separate. You have level and rank. Rank is how you are in the Dark Zone, and level is how you are, you know, within the rest of the game. You know, the missions and story modes and all that good, you know, non-PvP stuff, that just PvE things that you can also do with Fire Team members. I guess if you haven't, you know, backtracked and figured that one out, you can also play with other people, take down missions and stuff like that, up the difficulty, get better rewards. You know how it goes. It's a video game. But the Dark Zone might be impossible to play by yourself for the most part, because people are going to be super defensive. They're gonna find, you know, those stray cats out there and just take them out, because, you know, 1v3, we're gonna win that fight, so we're just gonna take this guy out. You know, maybe somebody else tries to, you know, kill us because we've been marked as rogue, therefore they know we have loot because we stole it from somebody else, or maybe we just got it from an AI. So yeah, that's gonna be a weird beast to try to figure out, is the Dark Zone multiplayer, which I think is going to get a lot of the attention, a lot of the YouTube videos, you know, a lot of angry messages and things like that, or, you know, just clan wars coming up against each other. There definitely was possibility for some really cool encounters within the city. I can't speak to if it was 1-to-1 scale, but it looked very nice. Dynamic weather, the light, the daylight changed as well, and you can have these rooftop battles. You can send one of your guys to this location and, you know, flank them from that other location. There was possibilities for some really cool PvP things within this game. Otherwise, people are playing defensively, you know, they're healing each other, or they're trying to secure an LZ by themselves, also watching out for AI, which can spawn basically out of nowhere. But the game has promise, which I think, you know, might sound a little too familiar to people that were a little disappointed with Destiny, because the game definitely did have promise in the beta, for Destiny was pretty cool and a little similar to The Division, but The Division didn't have quite as much content, but at the same time it also had more. The gameplay was really cool. The cover system, very, very nice, clean, simple. All the different kinds of guns you can use. You can have ones with scopes. You can have shotguns. You could use pistol secondaries that have different properties and things. Rarities of guns and all that good RPG element stuff with numbers to get us all excited, because numbers are exciting. It's like, oh man, I found this thing that has a number that's higher than the thing that I have. So that's just really cool. We get a rush from that kind of thing. So The Division, I think, has promise. We don't know how much single-player content we're going to get. We don't know how much PvE things we're going to get, what difficulty ceiling that has, or what else they haven't showed us or told us yet. But it has promise in both the PvP and PvE areas. It's all a matter of how they execute and how much content there is, both without the pay gate of DLC as well as with it. So anyways, those are my thoughts on the Division beta. Let me know what you guys thought about it, if you played it, if you watched it, or if you have other intel for me that I may or may not have covered correctly or incorrectly in this video. But anyways, I think I might still check it out. I did pre-order to get into the beta, and I might get the game just to check it out because it has promise. There are some fun things to it, and it's different enough from other games that we've already played. So, yeah. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.